in a stately style, in other words, elegant. Again, those in desperate straits will go first, bottom of 221. They will be led by the intellectual mediocrities whom we produce so abundantly. We've got it all figured out. We've got these second-rate intellectuals. Let them lead the masses to this. And who are oppressed everywhere. Anyway, whoever wishes to stay behind, let them. The opposition of a few individuals is quite immaterial. Who would go with us? Let him fall in behind our banner and fight for the cause with word and pen and deed. The Jews who agree with our state idea will rally round the society. It's very Nietzschean, this. If they will it, it will be. Now, if the powers, 1-2-22, show themselves willing to grant us sovereignty over a neutral land, and the society, this Jewish agency, will enter into negotiations for the possession of that land. Here, two regions come to mind, Palestine and Argentina. Argentina had not been settled to the extent that it is now. The people were going to Argentina. Significant experiments and colonizations have been made in both countries, though on a mistaken principle of gradual infiltration of Jews. He thinks that's a bad idea. Infiltration is bound to end badly, for there comes the inevitable moment when the government in question, under pressure of the native populace, and that's what happened in Palestine, when the British government, under the pressure of the Arab riots, started to retreat from the promises that were initially given, which feels itself threatened, puts a stop to further influx of Jews. The British did that, can you believe that, in 1937, just when the Jews were at the most dangerous. They closed Palestine to them, sealed the fate of the Jews in Europe. Just when they're most needed, they did it. That's why there's such animosity to the British in some of these matters. I think your other book has the white paper in it. The white paper was a paper voted on by the British government to stop Jewish immigration to Palestine in the 1930s. Just when, of course, they needed it most. Immigration is futile unless it is based on a guaranteed autonomy. I told you that's why he would not have accepted the Balfour Declaration in the form that I have described it for you. Yeah, if you want to read about this more, read the History of Zionism book. So, and then he says, you know, the very creation of the Jewish state will be beneficial to the neighboring lands, which of course happens since the cultivation of a strip of land increases the value of the surrounding area. What about it? Is Argentina or Palestine preferable? Those seem to be the options at his time. The society will take whatever is given, and whatever Jewish public opinion favors. So he realizes that there is that issue. When he goes to the Zionist congresses with the Uganda proposal, he thinks it's a fair proposal, but he's rejected. There's the public opinion among Jews issue. And the infiltration of Jews, whether Argentina or some other place, certainly produces a reaction. Palestine is our unforgettable historic homeland. The name would be marvelously effective as a rallying cry. If His Majesty the Sultan, who the Ottoman Empire was still functioning at that time, were to give us Palestine, we could in return undertake the complete management of the finances of Turkey. He's really always seeing, you know, quid pro quo what could happen. We should form a part of a wall of defense for Europe and Asia, an outpost of civilization against barbarism. Well, it's pretty blunt, but unfortunately there may be a lot of prescience even in that statement. You know, a first line of defense against barbarism. The holy place of Christendom could be placed under some form of international extraterritoriality. Conclusion. I don't know whether I could read all this section, but there's one paragraph there or two that may be worth looking at. It might further be said that we ought not to create new distinctions between peoples. We should not raise fresh barriers. We should rather make the old ones disappear. It's a noble thought, he says. I say that those who think in this way are harmless, well-intentioned, amiable, if you like, visionaries. The homeland idea will go on flourishing long after the dust of their bones will have scattered without a trace by the winds. He's funny, man. He's very harsh. Universal brotherhood is not even a beautiful dream. Conflict is essential to man's highest efforts. That's a Nietzschean idea. But this universal brotherhood, he doesn't even grant that as a beautiful dream that the Reformed Jews are putting in their prayer books. That there's going to be universal brotherhood, you know, ushered in somehow by the reform of Judaism. Who knows what they're putting in their prayer books? He just scoffs at it. You know, I can see why he was not popular in some quarters. Again, worrying about the anti-Semites, 224. Will it not be said I am providing weapons for the anti-Semites? How so? Because I admit the truth? Because I do not maintain there are none but excellent men among us? Is that, you know, as I'm not deluding myself? If the idea at the bottom of the page had been feasible, it would have been done a long time ago, he says, but has never yet been possible. That's the point I was making. Now it is possible with modern technology, modern transportation, modern developments have made it possible. See, people can't see as clearly as he does. 100, even 50 years ago, it would have been fantasy. Well, today it is a reality. And so on. Precisely, the poor and simple have no idea what power man already exercises over the force of nature will have the staunchest faith in the new message, for these never lost their hope in the promised land. Again, talking about the return of Zion. Etc. And I believe, the bottom of that page, 225, a wondrous breed of Jews will spring up from the earth. The Maccabees will rise again. You know, I was just describing that to you a short time ago. And it's true to some extent. Let me repeat, you know, people can't imagine how the Jews could change from a shuffling, seemingly unable to defend. I know when I was young, people where I grew up, I mean, the word Jew was synonymous with coward. And so on. Seemingly a cowardly people suddenly become one of the most efficient military peoples in the world. How is that possible? He just says change the parameters, and you change the people. And look at what the Jews were like actually in the Roman period. They were able to be one of the most successful people able to defend themselves of all the ancient peoples.